I used to believe my best days began with a feeling clear energy, sharp focus, a sudden rush that made starting easy. Most mornings didn't bring that. I waited for motivation, and the day waited for me. Then I learned a quieter truth. Consistency beats motivation. Not because motivation is bad, but because it's unreliable. Consistency is a promise, small enough to keep on your worst day, and strong enough to compound on your best. I built one daily habit that survived bad sleep, busy schedules, and thin courage. It didn't look heroic. It looked like a minimum paid on time. A sentence written. A paragraph read aloud. A single slow set. A message sent. That tiny payment changed the slope of my life. This is the story of how a daily minimum turned hesitation into motion and motion into momentum. By the end, you'll choose your own minimum and place a cue where your hand will find it first tomorrow. I wanted to be consistent, but I designed my life for rare versions of myself. I set bold targets for a future me who slept 8 hours, kept an open calendar, and woke up brave. Real me woke up human when life didn't match the plan. I negotiated with the day, after coffee, after a walk, after a quick scroll that never stayed quick. I called it warming up. It was drifting. By noon, I had reorganized the desk, curated a playlist, and done everything near the work, but nothing inside it. The first inch felt like a cliff. I waited for a spark that couldn't be scheduled and judged myself for not being the kind of person who wakes ready. I measured success in spikes, a 3-hour sprint on Monday, silence till Friday. I felt productive once, inconsistent always. Spikes look inspiring, averages build a life. My average was low because my floor was non-existent. If I didn't feel like it, I did nothing. If I felt like it, I tried to do everything. Nothing and everything took turns. The result was familiar. Guilt at night, grand promises for tomorrow, and the same pattern repeating. I thought I had a discipline problem. I had a design problem. The first step was heavy, the exits were many, and the ending was harsh, so my brain didn't want to return. There's a cost to missing your own promises that no app can graph. It's the slow loss of self-trust. Every time I told myself later, I taught my mind my word could slide. That lesson didn't stay in one corner. It followed me into the replies I postponed, the workouts I delayed, the sleep I borrowed against to pay for one more episode. Identity shifted from I do what I say to I intend to. It's a tiny change in language and a heavy one to carry. Distraction trained my expectations. 2. When novelty arrives every few seconds, anything slower feels wrong. I mistook that discomfort for a sign to stop instead of a signal to stay. Then decision fatigue did its work. Now or later. This task or that. 10 minutes or 30. I was spending mental coins on choosing, not doing. Even on the rare day I felt a surge. It seemed like luck, not something I could repeat. Motivation was a guest who arrived unannounced and left early. I needed a resident something that stayed whether I felt like it or not. The stake wasn't just productivity, it was dignity. A life you can trust is built on promises you keep, even when they're small. The turn arrived as a sentence I couldn't argue with. Pay the rent daily, in small coins. I chose 3 keystones that actually move my life right now: body, work, and relationships. Then I wrote a daily minimum for each that even my most tired self could keep. 2 minutes on the project. 1 slow set. 1 honest message. Real actions only. The rule was simple. Floor before ceiling. If energy arrived, great. I could add a notch. If not, the rent was still paid. I placed each minimum beside an anchor. I already do. After water in the morning. After I sit at the desk. Before I turn off the light. I staged tools where my hands would land. First document, open to the right sentence. Dumbbell, by the shoes. Message draft. With a name filled in, and I made a second rule. Decide in seconds. When the anchor fired, I counted down from 5 and moved at 1. Decisions made in seconds, outrun excuses made in minutes. The first week felt almost too gentle to count. Then I noticed the quiet math. Days no longer ended at 0. The cliff became a curb. I ended on purpose, and that mattered. The brain remembers endings. Kind ones, invite, repeat attempts. Here's the exact system I still use and how you can copy it tonight. First, pick keystones. Choose 2 or 3 areas that change your average when they move. Health, deep work or learning, and relationships are common picks. Don't pick everything. Pick what matters now. Second, define your daily minimums. Make them embarrassingly small and undeniably real. 1 sentence written. 1 paragraph read aloud. 1 slow set. 1 2-line check-in. Minimums are the floor, not the ceiling. The floor must be low enough to stand on, even when you're tired. Third, anchor and stage. Attach each minimum to something you already do. Water, desk, lights off. Put tools in place the night before, so the first move is closer than the first excuse. Open the document. Set the book at the right page. Place shoes by the door. Draft the message with the name filled in. Fourth, decide fast. When the anchor fires, don't open a debate. Count down from 5 and move at 1. If coffee is part of your morning, try placing it after your minimum when you can. Let it become proof, not permission. Fifth, end kindly. Stop while it still feels manageable. Your training return, not heroics. If you want more, use a 25ths or 25/5ths block and keep the first break away from your phone. Consistency is a groove you can play daily, not a solo that burns you out. Sixth, track. Visible proof. 1 dot on a calendar, 1 check on a card, 1 line in a tiny log. You're not chasing streaks, you're collecting receipts. Receipts build identity. Identity sustains effort when mood is missing. Seventh, design friction, not force. Make the right move easier than the wrong one. Phone in grayscale, out of reach for the first hour. Non-human notifications off. Sign out of the app that grabs you first. Put your yes closer than your no. Eighth, grow by 1 notch. When the floor feels automatic, raise it slightly 1 more minute. 1 more line, 1 more rep. Don't jump 10 floors. Add 1 step. And finally, rescue the day. If life explodes, do the smallest version before bed and let it count. Never zero. A day that ends above 0 is a day tomorrow can build on. 30 days later, nothing looked cinematic. Everything felt different. My mornings started with a move I could trust, and that changed the slope of my day. The project that used to feel like a wall became a door I had practiced opening. Work blocks lengthened because motion created momentum. If feed didn't lose its shine, it lost its place at the front of the line. I still scrolled after I started. The gym stopped being a decision and became a station. A slow set every day, more than I had it. The people I care about heard from me, because one message takes less courage than the story we invent about perfect timing. The biggest shift wasn't time, it was trust. I believed myself again. When I said I'll begin, I did because my floor was low, my exits were fewer, and my endings were kind. Motivation still visited. I welcomed it like a friend, not a landlord. Consistency paid the rent. And the quiet math kept compounding. Small promises kept daily, becoming a person whose days add up to the future they meant to live. Averages, not spikes, shape a destiny. If this story lightened even 1% of your day, protect it. Choose 2 or 3 keystones now. Write a daily minimum for each that is real and almost laughably small. Place each beside an anchor you already keep and stage the tools tonight. When the anchor fires tomorrow, count down from 5 and move at 1. And kindly, mark 1 visible check. If you have more in you, add a notch. If not, the rent is paid. Keep the floor. Raise the ceiling slowly, and let your averages reshape your life. For more stories that reset your mind, meet to be next you.